Hi, my name is Umed, and I am the owner and the operator of SkyLight Pool. And today, I would like to talk to you guys about Cardano's block production, but more specifically about the VRF, which is a probabilistic function that determines the number of blocks your pool gets in each epoch. But before we do that, I would like to draw your attention to this tweet that I posted about a week and a half ago. It basically is about a coin toss. You toss a coin 9 times and you get tails 9 out of 9 times. And the question was, what are you more likely to get when you toss it again? Now, most of you chose the correct answer, which was 50-50% chance. Maybe some of you looked it up on Google. I don't blame you. So 464 votes. And the other two options were tails or head. And I would like to basically go over these two options with you because they're important in understanding how we make decisions faced with uncertainty. So let's go over them. Tails. So 4.7% of you guys decided that the next coin toss is likely to end up in tails. And there's probably two explanations to that. And I think the first one, probably the most easiest, is probably some people forgot maybe that it was a fair coin, and given the information that we have tossed the coin 9 times and it landed on tails 9 times out of 9, the next one is probably going to be the same, and that's the explanation. The second one probably is more nuanced than that, and some of you might be thinking, okay, I've been given the information that it's a fair coin, but observing that it's a pretty rare probability of getting 9 times out of 9, I might adjust my probability and say the next one is going to be tails. And that's so that's adjusted probability is something that has to do with the area of probability theory called Bayesian theory, where you observe, you have something that you have a probability that you've been given, and then you adjust it based on whatever you observe. So maybe some people decided that the coin was not as fair, and then they chose tails. And that basically kind of covers, the reasons why people might have chosen tails. And the next one is kind of interesting because 11% of you guys chose head, and the reason for that might have been something we call the gambler's fallacy. And the gambler's fallacy basically means that if you're observing something, it's actually best described in the slot machine. So if you go to Las Vegas and you see that the one machine hasn't given out the jackpot for a long time, and the thinking there is that you should go and sit there and start playing that machine because it will give you a jackpot. But it's a flawed thinking in a way that the probabilities that the slot machine will give you a jackpot doesn't change whether it hasn't given you a jackpot in 1,000 iterations or more, because its probabilities are independent. And what do you mean by independent, right? So the best way to think about it is that when we pull that lever in the slot machine, the fact that we pulled it 1,000 times before has zero influence on the next time we pull it and the probabilities that are attached to the next time. In the case of coin toss, we can say that we have tossed this coin 9 times, but the concept is such that the fact that we have landed 9 times on a tails, it doesn't mean that the next one is influenced by that. Or if we toss it 1 time, it has zero effect on the next one. Next time we toss the same coin. In fact, I'm going to give you the probability of landing on tails 9 times in a row. There's this website that I found that you can plug in these numbers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there's tails 9 times, and we calculate the probability, and that probability is, I think it's, it's, if we convert it to percentage points, it's 1.9%. So while it's rare, it's not that rare. So so when you observe something like that, it doesn't mean that, you know, the coin is flawed if we know for sure that it's a fair coin and that information is verified. So how does that tie into block production in Cardano? Well, it's very simple. Simple in the sense that each one of the nodes that we observe in Cardano plays a lottery. Now, there is this the graph that I've made before about the rewards and the blocks, and today we are going to focus on the function called VRF. So each epoch, you are your pool is calculated, is given sort of a budget of rewards, and then there is the calculation of blocks assigned. And if the pool produces all its blocks and those blocks are over and above or equal to its expected blocks, then it gets its share of rewards that are 100% or more. More than 100% of its share of rewards. But if the VRF assigns less than the expected number of blocks, then it gets less rewards, which introduces variability in block production for each epoch, which in turn actually introduces some confusion in people's minds as to whether a pool is performing according to its optimal expected characteristics, properties. So in this table over here, I try to emulate block production, and I have 2 schedules here. So the way the block production works is that a node calls a function called VRF every second to see if they are a leader. Essentially, they're tossing a coin and seeing if they are a winner and a slot leader or not. And the difference is that coin that they're tossing is virtual. It doesn't exist. It just is something that exists inside the computer with its own properties and its own probabilities. And the probabilities of success in this particular case is actually equal to on average is equal to the pool's stake versus the total active stake. So on average, the pool, if its stake is stable, always will get on average the number of its share of blocks is going to equal to its share of stake in the total active stake. So imagine this: each second, the federation blocks are playing lottery to find out whether they are leaders, and at the same time, the decentralized nodes are playing the same lottery. And whenever one of them is the winner, it just basically goes ahead and produces a block and sends out that block with a signature that verifies that he's indeed a slot leader. And once the nodes verify that that's a correct block, they add it to the chain. Now, this whole mechanism is governed by 2 parameters here called active slot coefficient and a D parameter. The active slot coefficient basically determines the percentage of slots that are eligible to produce a block. In this particular case, we have 5% of the blocks. So you can say that since the beginning of the epoch, by the way, these are the number of seconds. I don't know if I told you the number of seconds in a epoch, 432,000. And this line here represents the progression of time in terms of seconds from the beginning, which is the 0, to the end of the epoch. So each second the D parameter comes in place also, and determines how many on average blocks the federated nodes get, and how many blocks the decentralized nodes get. And that determines the number of blocks gets produced. Who gets to produce the number of blocks in each epoch. So in a nutshell, this is basically the gist of how the VRF works, and how VRF basically determines the number of blocks your pool gets. The main point here is that just like in a coin toss, the probabilities in the VRF function are independent, meaning that if a pool produced, let's say that the expected block production is 30 and it produced 29, it doesn't mean that the next time it's going to produce 31. It doesn't work that way. But over time, over many iterations, that expected number will hold. Guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you like this content and would like me to do more of these, I'll be happy to. Just let me know on Twitter or in the comments below. I'll see you next time.